all hot paper craft. This is the finished model of the Mini EV. Hello, here's how to create the Mini EV. We start by putting the cursor in the middle and, well, a little bit above. I don't know why it's going down here. We add a cube. Okay, then we go to the side view and we move this cube a little bit up and a little bit to the left. So the top left corner will align here with the top left corner of, not the top left corner, the bottom of the windscreen. Then we click the cursor into that corner and we can scale now. We switch the alignment to 3D cursor and we can scale now down to the bottom here. Yeah, scale down to the bottom. And then we go to the top view and we move over to align the edges here. Then we put the cursor in this corner and we will scale it down. Wait, we scale only along the green axis to this width. Okay, so now we have the basic part, and now we can go over to the edit mode to work in the edit mode. In edit mode, of course, we can select just the vertex, we can select an edge, or we can select surface. And yeah, you only need vertex and surface for this one. No, you don't. You only need edge and surface for this one, because if you work with a vertex, you can mess up things pretty badly. It's really only for the advanced stuff. Okay, so for the front, you select this surface here, and then you need to use the extrude tool to extrude out. And this one, you click on the plus sign, and then you can move out exactly straight. If you don't click on the plus sign, you will click out. You cannot control the direction. Okay, so it's better to go along the plus side. Another thing, if you don't get the right position, then don't make another one, because it will make another one extrusion. Especially if you go back, that can create a lot of trouble. So just pull out very carefully, and if you need to adjust the position, you can use the move. You can switch to the move tool and then adjust the position with the move tool. So in this case, I will adjust the position to around here, yeah, where there has to be a bend in the hood. And so I will switch to the top view, and you can see that for the top view I actually don't need to make any changes here, because it will stay at the same width. The only thing I need to do is I need to move this edge a little bit down to here. Okay, then I can extrude the next part. Okay, and here, yeah, we will deal with this later. So we will can select the surface here, scale this out to around here. Okay, now we need to adjust the angle here. So for that, we need to switch to the scale tool. And if we use the cursor, then it does not scale properly. Even if we put the cursor somewhere near the center, it will not scale properly. Yeah, because it will not be symmetric. So the best choice would be to just switch the alignment to center. This way it's perfectly in the total center of this surface. Now we switch to the top view and we scale it to somewhere around here. And actually, as you can see, the two views don't align really good enough, but it doesn't matter. Then we have here this one. We should move it a little bit down. Okay, so that's this view. And then we have this front part here. And for this front part, we need to have the knife tool. We need to use the knife tool. So the knife tool works like this. So this is the knife tool, and you can click somewhere. You can move. Every time you click, you make a corner, and then if you hit enter, you're finished, and it will create a new edge. And yeah, I mean, this edge is not very useful, but it's very interesting. So if you want to get rid of an edge, you can use dissolve edges, yeah. if you use delete, then it will delete the surface. Okay, and how do you get them? Of course, by right mouse click and then here dissolve edges. To use the knife, okay, so you take the knife, you click on one edge, and then you get this, okay? So then you get this, and then you can hold Y. If you hold the Y key on the keyboard, you can make sure that you're going along the Y axis. You go all the way over to the other side, you click, you hit enter, and then you have the first line. And yeah, we can still adjust this later. Actually, we can also adjust it now. So this one should come a little bit up to align with this one, or maybe this can be the most up one, okay? Then we do this another 2 times, yeah? So here, click, move over, hold Y, click, enter, click, hold Y, move over, click, hit enter. Okay, so now we have these things. Now we can, if the position is not really correct, we can still align them correctly. So here what we do, we can select, first switch to the select tool, then we can select the edges, okay? We can either select several edges by holding shift. We can also click the 3 of them together by holding alt. Okay, so if we do it here, for example, then it will select a whole edge around it. So on the PC, it's alt, on the Mac, it's option. And here you can select it to select those 3, okay? So now you can use this to select those 3, select those 3 here, right? Those 3, and then move them a little bit up. And then select those 3 and move them a little bit down. Okay, so now, now there are 2 things we can do. Either we can select those 3 together, yeah, and then move them out, yeah, or we can select only this one and move it out, which will create a different front section for the car. Actually, in the Mini EV, I would choose this one because it's closer to the actual Mini EV. Okay, and then another thing that you can do is to move, so here, right? To move this whole part, you select those 3. Actually, you can select the whole surface here. You select the whole surface here, and then you move this surface a little bit back to around here. Okay, so now you have the front done for the Mini EV, and now you still need to deal with the back. And so actually there's an additional corner here. Look, there's an additional corner here, which you can basically, you could just ignore that, okay? You just ignore that. You just go straight all the way to here, yeah? Or if you don't want to do it, yeah, but I highly recommend to do it like this. Okay, so it's actually easier to do it like this. So you move all the way to here, to this corner, okay? And then this up angling part, you can just ignore it. Okay, then the next thing you want to do, just hide the picture for the image for the back side a little bit. So now the next thing you want to do is to move this edge to the correct position, which will go a little bit up and a tiny little bit to the front. Okay, so now you have this, and now you can do the back part here. And for the back part, again, you select the surface and you pull that out a little bit with extrude tool. Pull it out. Yeah, pull it out. Okay, and then you go to the top and you could do the same thing you've done before. You scale this along somewhat to the middle here, right? Okay. And then you can also scale it in this direction somewhat and make sure that these 2 positions switch to edit mode so that this one will come down more. This one will come down more. And this one will go up more. No. No. Select this. and what is he doing? And go up somewhat. Okay. Okay, so if you think you should have this angle here, then, so this is optional, okay, this is optional. Close those two layers, go to the bottom view, use the knife tool again, click. Now you need to, no, this is still y-axis, okay, go over to the y-axis, enter, right, rotate, switch on the images, and see to it that, switch on the side view image. Where's the side view image? So switch to the side view image, and okay, so now you can see that where's the position of this. Wait, ideally just switch this to the centered alignment, then to move. Okay, so then you can, okay, I don't know why it doesn't display in the correct position here. Okay, so obviously there was more than one select. So you just select this one. So now you can see in the side view, you can see its position, right? In the side view, you can see the position. And then you can move this a little bit to the front where this corner is. And then you just move, then turn the back side again off. Then you just move this one a little bit up. Okay, so now you have this edge also correct. And you have finished the lower part of the main body. Now you need to deal with the cabin, and there are two ways to do the cabin. One thing is you select this, and then you extrude this out. Select the top view, select the top view, select see-through, and the top view, and see. Yeah, okay, so the bottom image is not selected. So now you can use this to scale to the width and scale to actually to this position here. And then you will still need to adjust the front edge. Move it more to the back here. Okay, so then it's like this. And as you can see, this is still too high. So of course, then you should have all of them somewhat down. And then front one, go up again and to the back again. Okay, so this would be one option. The other option would be go back by learning a new tool, which is the insert tool, insert surface tool. So this insert tool creates an additional surface here in the middle. Okay, so for that, you go to the top view, you go to see-through, and then you scale like this, okay, to the center. And then you can once again, you can reposition those edges to here and to here. And now you go to the side view, you see it's like this. Turn off the X-ray, then you can select this surface and you can move this surface up. Okay, then you still need to adjust the front edge somewhat by going up and moving over to here. Okay, and then you have the main body actually done. Yeah, you save. Better to save. And now the next thing is you have to do the wheels. Okay, for the wheels, close these two. Close the body. Here you can hide the body. Okay, so for the wheels you have basically two cylinders, and one is a little bit distorted here. Okay, so one cylinder is one proportional cylinder is in the middle, which will be the wheels, and then this will be the fender, which is where the hole in the car body where the wheels are inside. And for the Mini EV, actually, those two are different. But you can also do them the same. It doesn't really matter. Just make sure that the space between the wheel and the fender is big enough. So how do you do them? First, you need to have a cylinder. So for that, you go back to object mode. And then you add a cylinder, mesh, cylinder, and you just click on the cylinder. And then you don't do anything. The first thing that you should do now is go down here to add cylinder, which is adjust last operation. So here you have the vertices. And the more vertices you have here, the rounder it's going to be. Okay? So you should set this to something around 80 to 90. So now it's really like wonderfully round. Then you can rotate around the x-axis by 90 degrees. Okay, 90. Here, 90. Okay, and then switch to the side view. You move over to the position of the wheel and align the wheel, the top of the cylinder with the top of the wheel. Then you place your cursor in this position. Then you can scale proportionally, and you need to scale to the 3D cursor, of course. You scale proportionally to get the correct size for the wheel. Something like this. And once again, it doesn't have to be like super accurate. Yeah. Okay, move it over to. So then you have this one. Okay, so then the next thing you should do is to make this whole. Oh wait, I forgot this one. So then you go to the side view. You move here and you align the left edge with the inner side of the wheel. You put the cursor here on that edge. Then you scale the wheel to the correct size. Like this, yeah. Okay, so now you have to, so this is the wheel. So now you have to do the hole which the wheel is in, which is called a fender. So for that, we duplicate the wheel. So to duplicate, you select it. Then you right mouse click or 2-finger click. And then here you have duplicate objects, okay? So you click duplicate objects. And then if you move, then you fail. Then you have to push escape or delete that object with right mouse and then delete, because you want to keep it in the same position. So once again, you left click, you duplicate objects, and when this, you don't move, you don't do anything, you just click once again. Okay, so this little cursor changes again. So now you have 2 times the wheel in the same position. So now you can, for this part of the cylinder, you can scale it a little bit outward. Yeah, okay. To make it a little bit wider, so you can still see the wheel here inside. Okay. Now you switch to the side view, and now you go to the change the alignment to center, and then you can adjust the size of this cylinder as you need it. Yeah, maybe you need to use the cursor once again, depending on how you like to do it. So scale to this side. Scale to this side, okay. Okay, so this is the one for the front, and for the back needs to be different, but I can still duplicate it, yeah. Duplicate it, move it over, move. And this one is a little bit wider, as you can see, and a little bit more up. So this one goes more up. Actually, it's pretty much the same, actually. So you just make it a little bit wider, maybe. Align to the center, a little bit wider. Okay, then you have this, and so now you can duplicate this for the opposite side. Okay, so you should select these two, you duplicate the objects, and you move them over to the opposite side. Okay, then you need to make sure that you go to the front view. You make sure that your body is correctly aligned with the image. So you click on your body, and yes, you can see the body is aligned pretty well. Actually, the top is a little bit more narrow on my body, but I think it should be fine. So I have this aligned with my view pretty well. So now I can align the fenders according to, let me turn off the side view. So now I can align the fenders, or the cylinders for the fenders. I can align them with the wheel, and I should select both of them, of course. Yeah, I should select both of them. So then I go to the front view, and I move them inwards so they will be aligned here at the left side. Okay, and don't get confused that they are longer than the wheels. That's of course correct, because in the side view it's correct. Okay, so now I have them in the right positions. I make sure that they are the same size from the side. Make sure they are the same size from the bottom. Let me turn off the bottom view. Okay, so they're in the right position. But now, before I go ahead, I should save. And then I should save under a new name. So I will save this as Mini EV2. Okay. And because now I will use the bull tool, and the bull tool will make huge changes to the body by punching the holes into the body. And it's better to keep, if you're making some massive changes with the bool tool, it's always better to keep the version where you have the original objects, because you may need them for some reason later. Okay, so just save as another file. It doesn't take a lot of space. Okay, and then when you use the bool tool, this thing you need to be aware of, that the one you use to punch, in this case, if you use the function which is difference, right? So the part which will be punched out of the other part, you have to select that one first, and then you select the one where it's supposed to be cut out from. So if I choose the body first and then choose the wheel second, then if I use the Boolean tool, it will actually cut the hole in the wheel instead of cutting the hole in the car, in the body. So I should select the wheel first, okay? Then select the body, then use the bool tool and use difference, and you see there's a hole now, okay? Then you do the same for all the other wheels. Difference, okay, cut the hole. Then on this side, object, bool tool, difference, object, bool tool, difference. So now I have all my 4 holes. I can switch to the bottom view. Now I can duplicate this wheel and move it over to the rear fender. Switch to the side view. Now I cannot see the fender really good, so I can switch to the wireframe view, which is here. So now I can see, okay, so it's pretty much in the middle. Okay, right, so it's fine. Switch back to the bottom view, switch back to the regular view, select the 2 wheels, duplicate them, and move them to the bottom. Okay, so here I have them, right? So now I have my Mini EV with the 4 wheels. And what I still need is one thing, is I still have this. Actually, you cannot use that, but I will show how to do it anyway. So you can choose if you want to do that or not, which is this thing here. Okay, so this thing here is like a small angle, and yeah. So there are basically 2 ways to do it. One way is to go to edit mode and select the back view, turn off the image in the back side, and then go here, go to this view, and use the knife. Again, go along, no, not Chinese, go along the edge, go along the y-axis here, click, enter, and now all you need to do is to pull this. Now all you need to do is pull this one a little bit out. Okay, and another way to do this kind of additional parts is to use a separate object. Okay, so then you would have the cube, but this is actually, in this case, it's much more work. So you have a cube, and then you move the cube to that corner. Okay, to that corner, and then you put the cursor in that corner. You scale it. You scale it towards the cursor. Scale it down towards the cursor. Yeah, and of course, then from the top view, move it over. Yeah, move it over. Then move it out again a little bit, maybe up a little bit again. Okay, then adjust the width to that. Yeah, okay. And the advantage for this is that you can do it like this, okay? With a knife, that's a little bit more troublesome. Although it's not like this actually on the actual car. And then what you would still do is to move this one backwards to create it like this, okay? And you see now it comes out here. So actually it's much quicker and easier to do it with a knife. I just wanted to show this option. So I will do it with a knife again. Go here to edit mode, and the line is actually still here. So I just need to pull this, actually I should move this up a little bit. And now now there's another tool which is useful. So this one is, if I move this up, then the position changes. You see that? But I don't want this angle to change. So I can use this. It's called edge slide. So this can move along here, can move this along this edge without changing the edge. So I will move this a little bit up. Okay. And now I just need to select this one and move it slightly back to create this angle here. Okay, then check from the side view. Yes, correct. So go back to object mode, and what you definitely still need is the rear view mirrors. Okay, because you can't have a car without rear view mirrors. So for the rear view mirrors, you hide your body. Okay, and then you switch to the top view. You bring in a new cube. And then you move this cube with the red bottom right corner. You move it to the position of the rear view mirror. You put the cursor in the corner. You switch to the X-ray mode, and then you scale it. You can scale it a little bit. It can be longer than here in the view. Move it a little bit over, okay, and make sure that the width is approximately the width that you see on the rotated part, okay? So go to over here, okay. Then go to the side view, and of course also adjust the size here. Yeah, maybe move it down first. Move it down to here, and then put the cursor in the corner. Scale it to the right, and you need to maybe I need to zoom in a little bit. So scale it to the right size here. Okay. So now from the top it's like this. Okay, and then what you do is you go to edit mode. Select this object. Go to edit mode. You can turn off the X-ray. Now you go to top view. No, actually, so you select this surface here in the back. This surface. And now go to the top view and move it forward until you get the right angle. Okay? You can still adjust this a little bit. Still adjust this edge a little bit. So maybe move this still a little bit to the front. Okay. And now also this edge, right? This edge, move it to over here. And over here. Okay, and then from the side view, it should be about the same, okay? So now the rear view mirror is done. Go back to object mode. And now you can bring back the body. And now you should make sure this is in the correct position. The car body is also in the correct position, okay? So now I need to duplicate this rear view mirror. I select it, and I click duplicate objects. Again, click in the same position. And now I need to right click again, and I need to mirror along the y-axis. So see, now this has been mirrored, and now I can move this over to the opposite side. And of course I should look at the top view, and I move it to here. Okay, so now here. So now I should make sure that those two rear view mirrors are the same size. Okay, so I can look from the front. So this seems to be a little bit bigger, so I move this a little bit back. Yeah, check also from the top view. Looks pretty much the same. Okay. Normally, if you would want to do this accurate, you have to do by entering numbers, but we don't need to be so accurate for this one. So the final thing that you need to do now is to select those two mirrors. Now this one seems to be too big. Okay, now this one is bigger. No, this one needs to go more here. Yeah, okay, it should be fine. So select the two mirrors, select the car body, and we use the bool tool one more time, but this time we don't use difference. This time we use union. So now they become one body. Okay, and so the basic model for the Mini EV is then finished. Then we should of course save, and we will continue of course with dividing up the parts and then painting and unfolding. But I will have another video for that, so thank you for watching.